It is Rssell and Hunter's The Brewmance, or where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, better known as Rob Hunter? Away and away and away he is. Buddy, where you at right now?
We're in Orlando, Florida right now.
You're back to okay. You're back to Florida. Okay, very
Yep.
good. All right, so it's good to have you back. Are you going to do any Disney anything?
No, not this time around. We're skipping the Disney parts, hanging out with the family though. My dad is here, my stepmom's here, so yeah, we're doing a family thing.
Well, give Bobo a big squeeze for me, will you, man? What a great dude. What an absolute man. Brewman Senior is the man. He is absolutely the man. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm going to be indulging in some Brewman style because it's a little celebratory. So, are you doing? What are you drinking? What is that?
I have a little rum and Pepsi for my man Mike Rssell. It is Mike's birthday today, so please.
Thank you, brothers. Cheers. Thank you. Mike, there's Grizz. Grizz already wished me. He's Grizz is round 2. Yes. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And okay, so let's get to this. It's been a really weird week for our president, and I dare say commander in chief. Not only is he actually the 2020 video of him saying that his biggest concern of Donald Trump is that he was going to get us into a war with Iran. And here we are. We're not knee deep. We're about ankle deep right now in a war with Iran. And that's where we've landed. But, he doesn't care. Joe Biden has no idea what's going on in the Middle East. He has no idea what's going on in this country because he's out campaigning. And if I could, Rob, if you let me do it, I'd like to start with a little story, a little anecdote, if you will, from the commander in chief of the United States of America, talking about his uncle, war hero, his uncle. Let's listen, shall we?
Uncle, they called him Ambrose Brosey. They called him Bosey. My uncle Bosey was a hell of an athlete. They tell me when he was a kid.
Oh, he's a hell of an athlete, because that's important. When you're on a presidential campaign, you should just watch the people as he's saying this garbage. Watch the people behind him. They're like, I swear, because they're all union. They're like, I'm getting time and a half, right? I'm getting time and a half, double time. I don't want to be here.
And he became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along.
Thank you for service.
He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones.
Oh.
He got shot down in New Guinea.
Okay.
And they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea. And
the president of the United States, or the president of the United States of America, just told a story that is completely fabricated. The Department of Defense said we have zero record of any of this nonsense. Actually, he went down with 3 people. They all died in the water. They'll drown. About getting eaten by cannibals. He not only said this on the campaign stop where he just was, he said that getting on to, the little kickstand steps of Air Force One. He said that before he went up those. He doubled down on it. The White House is like, yeah, it's not so much. Yeah, it's not really true.
Well, this is Joe Biden in a nutshell. I mean, how many tall tales has Joe Biden told over the years? And you go back like to 1912 when Joe Biden was first elected to the Senate, right? The same year Arizona became a state, Biden becomes a senator, and he's been lying ever since. He lies so much he can't even keep track of his lies. And now we get the most fantastic one of them all. But here's an interesting tidbit about the Hunter family. This is actually a true story. It doesn't involve cannibals.
Oh, no, you can't tease like that, because I thought, he's got a cannibal story? This is fantastic.
No. Okay. I don't know if it's better. I don't know if it's worse, but I had a great uncle that got eaten by a hippo somewhere in Africa in the 1930s. And I've asked my dad about this. My dad tells this to him, like, Dad, are you sure? He's like, I'm positive, 100% positive. It was my father's brother who was in Africa for some reason in the 30s, like you did. How do you even get to Africa in the 1930s? Take a boat, I guess. Yeah. And apparently... Uncle whoever, great uncle whoever.
Uncle Hippo. Yeah.
Exactly. Got eaten by a hippo. So if I'm on the campaign trail, I will tell that story. Like, Rob Hunter is going to be fact check. I'm like, no, it's true. Look it up.
Wait, is Bobo in the house with you?
He is not. He's at the pool.
Okay.
Celebrating
Brewmance,
Russell's birthday. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. So, yes, tell him I said thank you for that. But because if he comes back into the house for a refill, can you send him over, because I'd like to hear him tell the story, please. I want the entire story. I call shenanigans.
Yeah.
Out of it.
But I do want to go back to the Biden, though, about the first thing that you said, right? A war with Iran.
Yeah.
I think this points out something that's very important of how politics works. Politics, because back then in 2020, I think it was the intelligence agencies leaked information, fake, that Donald Trump was about to start a war with Iran because he blew
Right.
up General Soleimani, who was
Yeah.
one of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. So Biden was running with that because in politics, it's all about that moment, that timing. So now that Biden is on this precipice of maybe World War III, it looks stupid. But the question is, thankfully, the internet allows things to live on. But the question always is, does it matter? Do people care?
I think people are going to care when I think the first, and they'll lie to us, but the first U.S. soldier that dies in this, people will care, and they'll care quickly, and they should, and we will, and I will, but then it becomes a game of y'all didn't see that coming. It's like that truck came out of nowhere in the accident. You know what I mean? Like, yes, the multi-thousand-pound giant truck just came out of nowhere. You weren't paying attention. It didn't come out of nowhere. This did not come out of nowhere. This started with pallets of cash back in the Obama days. This started with $25 billion of sanction waivers through the Biden administration. This came from $6 billion in bribe money. Remember the five for the five, right? Right, the prisoner swap, plus $6 billion. No, it was five for, what was it? We gave them five. They gave us like 2 and 6 billion or something. Like, I mean, we gave them 6 billion. Anyway, so that was that has all led up to this because they're completely emboldened by their ability to sell all of their oil to China and Russia, and China and Russia are essentially funding this all by proxy, and nobody cares because it started so long ago that it's like it's old news. It's like white news. It comes a lot to the whole JFK thing. JFK, the CIA helped kill JFK. Yeah, we knew that, but we've known that over decades, so we didn't care. So right now, Iran's doing this. We're like, of course Iran's going to do this. We've been seeing this since the Obama days.
Well, this is where decisions really matter. And Mike, you and I talked a lot about this on Rssell and Hunter when we were on KFYI. I started to focus on not the day-to-day interactions that politicians give us, because that's all meant to be a distraction. But let's look at some of these decisions that world leaders made. So Mike has his solo project called The Go Show. And if you don't check it out, I know that Grizz, you watch it. Greg, you watch it. Lynn pops in there. So that's awesome. On my solo project, Equal Matters, a few months back, I looked at 9/11. And I did 22 years of decisions prior to 9/11 and 22 years after. And we're basically in the same place that we were in 1979, just different countries like Ukraine, Russia getting involved against a Russian aggression. And those decisions that presidents make matter, because I want to point out what Mike just said, right? That Obama was, for some reason, was hell-bent on having some kind of deal with Iran for some reason.
Normalizing, or raising them to our level.
As if you can trust Iran, because this is what that part of the world does, the United States doesn't. First and foremost, we have elections every 2, 4, 6 years, depending on the office on our federal side of things. They don't do that. They have leaders that stay there for their lifetime, for the most part. Like the Ayatollahs in Iran, basically get appointed or forced away into power, and they stay there. So their decision-making is different. So this is what happened. So the Obama administration thinks they're going to score some political victory by having some deal with Iran so that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. They strike this deal and give them a bunch of cash. And Iran's like, haha, got you, because what are they going to do with that cash? We're going to give it to Hamas. Yeah. And then Hamas is going to hang back. But here's another interesting tidbit that I read about. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, when he came back into power, or whatever it was, a year or 2 years ago, was aware that money was being funneled through Qatar to Hamas. Not only did Netanyahu go, all right, cool, he encouraged it, thinking that Hamas is not going to have the ability to stage a big attack. So this is why I say all leaders and their decisions matter, because we have the United States funneling money through Iran to Hamas, and then Netanyahu okaying money supposedly for humanitarian aid. But Hamas is not really a humanitarian aid organization. And Netanyahu really pressured Hamas to be a political organization. They're like, yeah, we're a political organization. Cool.
Yeah.
Get those Palestinian Authority guys, Mahmoud Abbas, maybe you've heard that name. It's two-state solution, because Netanyahu doesn't want a two-state solution. So in a way, he got fooled by Iran, Hamas, and whoever's funneling the money through Qatar for humanitarian aid. And this is what I would say to all the young people talking about a Palestinian state.
Oh,
It can't
God.
exist. They don't have
They
an
can't,
economic
won't.
backbone to stand
Nope.
on. So it's a pipe dream. But all of those decisions matter that led up to this October 7th attack. And the United States and Israel played a role in it. And now here we are, because of their decisions, waiting for World War III to break out. Like, good job, leaders. Good job.
Right. And by the way, going back to the two-state solution thing, that's a pipe dream. It literally will never happen. This is a biblical argument. And there's not, you get some, you get some. Both sides have been claim biblically that all of it is theirs. Even I played for you last week. I played for you, or I'm sorry, at the beginning of the week, I played for you, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton saying, I tried during my reign to give them all of Gaza, 90% of Gaza and some Israel parts and a port and everything, tried to give them everything they wanted. They could be a thriving nation. They said no. This is not going to be solved by, there's no two-state solution. Two-state solution is political and they want to fundraise off of it and they want to make you feel, but if there is no two-state solution, there never will be a two-state solution. So stop protesting Starbucks and stop protesting all this because they stand with Israel. Stop it. Knock it off. Stop closing down airports. Stop closing down bridges. It's not going to be from the river to the sea. Never, never, ever, never, never, ever. It's not going to. Our grandkids will be fighting this fight or protesting and thinking that it's going to make a difference. They don't care what you do. They don't care you shut down O'Hare. They don't care that you shut down the Golden Gate Bridge. Don't care. They are going to continue this fight because it's biblical and ain't letting go. Period.
Well, it's power too. I mean, you look at who runs Hamas. They're all billionaires because they take all the money that's supposed to go to the Palestinian people. So the Palestinian people become more desperate and don't get the aid. And then the Palestinian people are the pawns that are used by these decision makers, these rich, powerful men that don't even live in Palestine, Gaza, West Bank. They live in Qatar. So you obviously see all of this is what's going on. And that's that big part about, if you really want to do something about it, you know what to do. But there's that small inner circle at the top of the world that makes these decisions and has the power and the money. And they like to stay in that little inner circle. So it's like this big protective bubble where the actual real people are the ones that have to go do the fighting, or the women and children that hide, that they put all the Hamas people behind. I mean, this is not a courageous organization. This is an organization that is hell-bent on terror, and they don't care if women and children, their own women and children, die. So, if you want to protest something, protest that.
Yeah. I saw a Gaza beach scene the other day that was just, it looked like it was like Fort Lauderdale in spring break. It was just everybody. And by the way, you saw a lot of the aid trucks that were coming in and had Hamas sitting on top of them, armed, as they went to wherever they were going to have them, where they have everybody show up to get their aid, which they're launching rockets from. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Look, war's a big boy game. War is not a childish game. War is not, we got to minimize casualties. And look at, I almost said it again, Biden. Look at Biden telling Netanyahu, take the W. Okay, 300 rockets and drones launched at you. It's not a W. That's, okay, we're just getting started here. Let me roll up my sleeves and then I'll go win. And then I'm going to go call it the W. I will lay waste to Iran and then we'll go ahead and call it a W. Take the W. It's just childish nonsense. All this, the protesting, the free Palestine, and the whole, I'm boycotting companies that stand with Israel, and the whole take the W. This is all a childish game.
Yeah. And you know what's great? Not paying attention that much to it, because what it is to me is, I don't even know really how to describe it, but it's not impacting change. And the only change that these young people are impacting is Democrats are running scared, because what do Democrats care about? What do Republicans care about? Winning elections.
Votes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all, the only really impact that it's making here in the United States is it's forcing Joe Biden and the Democrats into these weird positions because they know they need young people to show up to the polls. So what they do is they cancel a bunch of student debt for like the 12th time. And say, hey, guys, the average household that's making $312,000 no longer has to pay school debt that they accrued to get these advanced degrees. Because They need those people to go to the polls because a lot of those young people don't like the policy that is backing Israel, which is, again, getting back to Mike's point about Biden saying, hey, Bibi, take the win. Dude, I need you to take the win so I can win because I don't really care about your wins. I care about my wins.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's doing photo ops. The world's falling apart and descending into World War III, and he's doing photo ops at Wawa. Now, you got to help us out, Rob, because us Southwestern cats, Wawa rhymes with Baba. I don't know what it is. What the hell is a Wawa?
It is a fancy convenience store. It's like gas station. It's like 7-Eleven on steroids. They offer like hot sandwiches, meals. Yeah, it's like a QT, but the Northeast version of it. Mainly based in Philadelphia, but here where I'm in Florida, there's a couple around here. They've expanded in the past few years.
So the photo op was Biden showing up to one of these places, ordering a box of sandwiches or whatnot, and the box completely confused him. He had to just throw it down and walk away. Just absolutely befuddled him. He was there with the mayor, and he gave the kid a tip. It was, he gave the kid a tip and asked about milkshakes. He said, "Sir, you can go right over there to milkshakes." And it seemed like, and there's nobody there. Place was cleared out. Nobody there. It was all just a setup. Of course, it was a setup. And then there's two people with, you got to watch out for those cell phone cameras, man, because they'll have them. Those cell phone cameras will just, they'll get you. One employee had a cell phone camera documenting the entire setup that the thing was. As the Biden staffer told the kid, he's going to tip you. Just take it. We need these over here. We need this right here. This stack here is going to be in the camera angle for the mayor that's going to come here. It was all set and primed. And then on his way out, there was a lot of finger throwing up, a lot of number one style going up, and basically saying "F you" to the president of the United States while he's standing there.
While the gas price sign.
While he said, exactly. Yeah. Go ahead. It's $4.50 out there, you ass. Go tell me you're doing great. Tell me about Bidenomics and point it here. That's what I want, Mr. President. I want your picture of you pointing to the gas prices right up there on that big marquee right there and say, "Go Bidenomics." Ass.
Well, the flip side of that is this is horrible because we're here in Florida and there's 5 of us and my dad has like this little car. So he's like, we need to rent a car so all 5 of us can get around. So
say it like Brewmance Sr.
Get a car that we can all fit in so we can go get beers and Captain and Diets and Bacardi and Diets.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
Yeah, my Boston's not very good anymore, but, it's hanging
solid.
around.
Better than mine.
Lady Brewmance is shaking her head like, nope, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's long gone. So my JFK attempt is terrible. And we got this big Dodge Durango. And as soon as I get in, I drive it off the little rental car lot. I'm like, oh, I love this car. I want one of these. So, Mike, I mean, you got to say, I'm making some progress. I drive my little.
It's the long game.
Home. Exactly.
Oh.
I rented a truck in Toronto to go to Niagara Falls, and here a Dodge Durango. But then I noticed the miles per gallon at 14.3, and I'm like, ooh. Gas prices aren't quite as high here in Florida as they are back home, about $1 less, but still that's going to hurt when I have to bring this car back and fill it up at 14 miles per gallon. But the power, yes.
If you have the money to afford a new Dodge Durango, you're not worried about gas prices.
That's true.
Okay, there you go. That's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I'm playing the long game with Rob, getting him up to maybe an SUV truck kind of vibe. Did the same thing with firearms. I've got 4 things that I'm really working on. On the 4th, when he comes around, it's been a good ride, bud. We're out. Yeah, we could be in our 70s. I don't care. Be like, okay, we're done now. I'm done with you. That's it. That's the long game and a half. And by the way, I just filled up the Falcon, my F-150. Still $100 to fill it up, and that was with $1 off in grocery store points.
Dang,
$1 per gallon off, and I was still over $100. It's absolutely absurd to think. And I understand there's a lot going on. There's a lot of swing states, a lot of major states that have a lot of voter registration going on with no ID required. I get it. It's a dicey thing. And then you kind of match those states up where the Biden administration has been flying people in over the, instead of going through the border, they're now flying them in. That's documented. That's not tinfoil hat stuff, guys. They've been doing that. Those align with those states that are registering people by the droves without identification. So there's no other way this guy can win. There's no other way that we vote in every single way we vote with our wallets. We do. We have for years and years and years, except when it comes to defense spending. Apparently, that's just okay. I actually saw a congressman hold up a bag of bushings and said, "This bag of bushings I can get anywhere for $100." He goes, "Why is the Defense Department paying $90,000 for this bag of bushings?" Yeah, exactly. Apparently, but we should be voting with our wallets. There's no other way this guy can pull it off.
Well, and this is what is so very surprising to me about the way that we vote and the way that we almost get distracted by these day-to-day fights. Because if you look at the big pillars about what matters to your life, first and foremost, it's your economy. So if you're spending $100 on gas when you used to spend 50, you have $50 less to spend at the grocery store, taking your kids out, taking your spouse on a date, whatever it is that you want, go on vacation. So that has real impacts. And the policies that allow these to happen are really what we should be voting on. And if you think about what my main concern about this upcoming election, top concern that I have is the tax cut policy, even above the border, because the 2017 tax cut policy is a great economic policy. It's great for individuals like you and me. It's great for businesses because there's certain ways that you can buy new stuff and not pay the taxes for 5 or 10 years so that you can buy and afford new pieces of equipment to become more productive, to create more stuff, and that creates more jobs, because that's what ultimately matters. Like, I was thinking about the border impacts, and I'm like, okay, does it impact me personally? Not as much as gas prices, not as much as the economic policy. And that 2017 tax cut, which our friend Congressman David Schweikert wrote a pretty good portion of it, if that expires in 2025 like it's set to, and Republicans don't have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, you need all three, that's going to reverse course on the economic progress that we're making. Because during the pandemic, when all the shutdowns happened and the economy was impacted and inflation was really high, imagine not having the 2017 updated economic tax package that we have now. Who knows what gas prices would be? Who knows?
Inflation still is high, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was high. It is high.
Yeah. It's higher than they want, which means interest rates are high, which means no one's buying homes. I just saw a stat the other day that home purchases are the lowest they've been in I don't even know how many years, because no one wants to pay 7% interest rates on a mortgage.
No, nobody does. It doesn't make any damn sense.
Well, I'm not moving. I have 1.99%. It pays
exactly. It's free money.
0 cents. Mm-hmm.
I've had to explain that. Yeah, it's free money. It just is what it is. But I don't see, even with all that going down, you can't look historically in the United States of America when things are this bad economically, where a president is reelected. It just hasn't happened. And so it's befuddling to me that this man is still campaigning and showing up to a Wawa where he told the story, bro. And I told you before the show came on, I told Rob, I apologize. I told Rob before the show came on that I should have had the video for this. I watched it and my chin was on the floor and I scrolled through it. I was like, that's amazing what just happened. Joe Biden was on a campaign speech during a little campaign, maybe it's like at a classroom or a high school or something like that. And he's got his microphone, he's walking around. And he said, you'd be amazed, like they don't know this. Like, you'd be amazed at how many times I'm driving down the street to and from these kind of events, and I see people holding up Trump signs that say F Joe Biden in the middle of it. He said, kids, 7-year-olds, 7, 8, 9 years old, got their middle finger up as I'm driving by. He said, it happens all the time. It's amazing. What do you mean it's amazing? It's because you're terrible at your job. You're the world's worst president. You're our nation's worst president in history. And even holy cow. Who took over for Lincoln?
Johnson.
Andrew Johnson. Thank you. Drunk out of his mind. The guy was an absolute crazy racist alcoholic. Better than Joe Biden. Period. Holy mackerel. And this guy's curious, like, oh, gee, I wonder why everybody's so upset at me. Oh, I can't. They tell me I'm doing such a great job. Everybody loves all my policies. Look, I have the most diverse cabinet in the world. I got a gay guy.
So it's bubble, right? Biden is no doubt in a bubble. Biden is protected. He doesn't see the real world. He's not a member of it. And this, I think, is one of the big problems that we have in this country when it comes to politics, is that most of our politicians don't fill up their own gas tank, don't drive their own cars, aren't aware of what the grocery store prices are. So they're making these policies that benefit them and their friends, not us. And that to me is that big, middle finger to us, if you want to make it a middle finger to Joe Biden, because that, again, that reality is he may win. And that says something about our side. If we cannot beat the worst president of the United States history, at least in modern history, what are we doing wrong on our side?
When I start to call shenanigans. That's when I start to call shenanigans. Like when and you got to, point out what to point out. This isn't tinfoil hat stuff. If I just got invited here by Joe Biden and I got flown to a nice city, by the way, New York is now giving free tickets in five different languages, poster signs all over the city saying free tickets to anywhere you want to go. They're getting rid of their migrants that way. They're giving them tickets to anywhere they want to go. Anyway, but if I come over and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy just got me to the United States, and here I'm in the big city. I'm in Manhattan right now. I'm set up at a Marriott, and I get to complain about my rights being violated if I don't get 3 hots a day. I absolutely love this. Oh wait, I can go register to vote right now, and I can vote for Joe Biden again, and I can do that without an ID. I can just register to vote. Yep. Okay, cool. I want to go ahead, because there are several states now that say you can only vote in federal elections without an ID. I'll say it again. You can only vote in federal elections without an ID. Why in the world would states be changing that law? Or that rule, or that policy, or that practice? Because we've been sending hundreds of thousands of voters to their doorstep. And I look, I'm telling you, Republicans got to play dirty. If you want to win, you got to play dirty, because they're playing dirty. And I'm not talking about stolen this and stolen that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about they are blatantly rigging this in front of our eyes. And if we're just going to sit back and watch it and go, but I'm still just going to vote and everything's going to be fine, we're going to lose. Period.
Well, that's the problem.
Lose. And lose the nation, lose it all. It's done.
Well, and that's, again, what's your message, right? What are you going after? Is it a bunch of grievances? Is it running the opposite of what America wants? And is that where you're putting your stake in the ground? Because Arizona is like a perfect example where the legislature is controlled by Republicans, 1 vote in the House, 1 vote in the Senate. There's already a Democrat governor. Whereas if the Democrats win.
Wait, they made me governor?
Yes.
And did that happen?
And that's, whatever's going on is whatever's going on. It's up to Republicans in positions of power to do something about it. And the problem is in these states like New York and California, it doesn't matter because Republicans never win in those states. So it's going to matter in states like Arizona. It's going to matter in states like Texas, maybe Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, the states where
Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia are the ones that are ideally making this happen.
Well,
and here in Arizona, by the way. Here in Arizona has the federal deal too. You can register all you want. That's Adrian Fontes, who is a blatant socialist.
Yeah. So again, by not winning these important elections, you risk this. So it really gets down to messaging. It really gets down to outreach. It really gets down to organization. And it really gets down to money, because what do you spend your money on? Like the Republican Party right now is spending millions and millions of dollars defending Donald Trump in court, lawyer fees. That doesn't help win elections. I mean, however you want to slice it, whether you want to call it fair, not fair, the resources that are allocated to defend Trump are not going to win elections. They're not going to outreach. They're not paying campaign staffers to go knock on doors, register people to vote, to get local elections to win, because that's where the election policies are determined. That is the big challenge here that logistically that we face, whether you want to yell at me or call me wrong or whatever, get emotional about it. That's reality.
Nobody's getting emotional. It's not a fairness issue. It's not a fairness issue. By any stretch of the imagination, is it a fairness issue? It's not. This is when it comes down to Donald Trump and this bull crap that he has to deal with for these damn DAs doing what they're doing. It is plain and simple. I mean, going from Big Fanny out there at the White House meeting with Kamala Harris, for the love of God, like how blatant do you want to be? So it's not an issue of fairness. It just is what it is. This is flagrant of a attack your political opponent as I've ever seen, because it's now being exposed because of 24-hour news cycle, 24-hour media, and the internet. It's now being exposed. This might have happened in several elections prior to. We just didn't know about it, because we had to wait 5 days for the Pony Express to show up with the damn newspaper. So we didn't understand that. And that's fine. But right now, it's a whole different ball game. And right now, it is, just they're thumbing our noses in it. Rubbing our noses in it. They have no problem with that. So this is, I don't know how much at this point. How much is, okay, so get your neighbors, get your yard signs out there, rock the vote. Start to register your people, register around you. I don't know what the hell you do besides, okay, we're just going to blatantly cheat as well. Shit. Shoot.
The internet.
Sorry.
No,
it's the lunch beer. Yeah.
You can let it happen. And look, I don't know, but here's the other problem. I have no idea what's true. I have no idea who's lying to me, what's true, what's not. I really don't. So I don't know if what you're saying is actually true, Mike, or not. Because I don't.
Danny Wills literally is on the White House logs is visiting Kamala Harris. It just that's public record.
So that's fine, but
okay,
it's still reality of what Donald Trump has to face. And again, right, this case was in part because of Donald Trump's decision making after the election. Like that's reality of it.
That's the Fannie Wills part. The jury selection right now is freaking paying off a damn hooker. Let's be real. Come on.
Well,
and the Kennedys are like, what? Why were we going?
We can argue the merits of that case or not, but it's a reality that he's in a courtroom waiting for the jury to be selected. And if this is the system that America voted for. And that's what we have to understand here, because I don't think as voters we're as informed as we should be, need to be, etc. But we now live in this information age where information is like a fire hose. And you can't possibly take it all in because you can't always tell what's true and what's not. And that's another big challenge here with trying to be informed and trying to share this information with people, is that I automatically don't trust anything right now. That's a problem in and of itself. And going back to your point, Mike, there's only so much that I can do about it at this moment. So my only option is to adjust my life no matter what happens, and just try to figure out the best way to go forward. I can't rely on a politician to save the day. I can't rely on Donald Trump to make my life better or gas prices go down. All I can do is show up, be my best, and try to adapt to my lifestyle as best I can. Like that's kind of where I'm at now when I look at politics. And one of the main reasons why I didn't want to do work on KFYI anymore, because it's just becoming so challenging to get a point across, because it's a race to be as fantastic and over the top as possible, where depending on the source, I don't know if I should believe it or not. Like some of the stuff in the New York Times, you can't even believe anymore. It used to be that, they were slanted, but they reported on the truth. And the world is just so wacky that I feel like I have no other option than just to bring it in closer to home and focus on me and my people and try to make our lives better.
Well, let's go. Let's check out this. A senior NPR editor has been walked to the door. He's been suspended without pay, essentially, for saying these things. With declining, I'm going to put on my spectacles, excuse me. The IPA that got me there. With declining ratings, levels of trust, and an audience that has become less diverse over time, the trajectory of NPR is not promising. Two paths seem clear. We can keep doing what we're doing, hoping it'll all work out, or we can start over with the basic building blocks of journalism. We could face up. We can face up to what we have been doing. News organizations don't go in for that kind of reckoning, but there's a good reason for NPR to be the first. We're the ones with the word public in our name. And that was after hiring a CEO that on record, actually even during a TED Talk, believes that the First Amendment is the problem with America.
Yeah.
NPR. So this guy crying the same thing. Look, we can go back to the basics. We can just report. We can just give you the truth. Here it is. This is how we see it. Forget all this opinion nonsense. I'm just going to give you the truth. Here's the fact. Joe Biden stepped down the stairs. This is exactly what he said. And here's what the White House press corps, or at least the release, says that he's going to do next. Here he is with this person talking to this. We can be that and not just opinion-driven propaganda. And they said, no, actually, we're going to hire a CEO that is absolutely off the rails, and said sometimes the pursuit of truth should not supersede basically the pursuit of content.
But that's
NPR.
all. That's all media now, because nobody wants
crap.
facts anymore.
No.
I have been told this. 23 years in talk radio, I was told one thing: we're in the affirmation business. You go affirm people's beliefs based on who we think our audience is. And now that there's so much fracture, that's the only way to survive, because the audiences for traditional media are getting smaller and smaller. So the desperation is what you see. I mean, look at what CNN is doing. Look at what the New York Times is doing. Look at what the Arizona Republic is doing. Who is paying for the paper are liberals. And they're not going to challenge liberals in their beliefs. Same thing with talk radio. KFYI is not going to come out and challenge you and say, we're wrong about this, or that's a lie. They're going to take that lie, that belief, all the way down to the bottom of the earth as long as people stay put, because that's what this game is. This is not a game about truth anymore. This is not a game about right and wrong. This is a game about keeping your audience as best you can for as long as you can. And if the NPR audience, like the Arizona Republic or the New York Times, has gone way left, NPR is going to go way left, because that's all they got left. Again, they're not trying to appeal to the mainstream. And when CNN made some changes post-Trump, post the 2020 election, their audience went away, because they weren't as one-sided against Donald Trump that they used to be. And they tried to go more into a fact-based, old-school journalism model, but there's no audience for it anymore. That's the craziest part to me, is that we are so ingrained in our own beliefs, millions of us, that we don't want to be challenged. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't even want to talk about the real challenges facing America. Voting aside, right? Our debt load, the fact that Social Security, Medicare, in interest, that alone is about the tax revenue that we bring in. Everything else, for the most part, is borrowed. Like that's what, media, if it was serving the public like it's supposed to do, if it did serve the public, these are the things, Mike, that I think that we would talk about. And just nobody's interested in that. And then it's always like the end of the road. So the Arizona Coyotes are a perfect example.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Well, go there.
Everybody's the biggest fan now. Well, where were you when the team needed you to support?
Yeah, okay. In people Rob and I know well, I was like on social media, I'm like, shut up.
Exactly.
Don't give me that garbage. You kept talking about the D-backs and Sons, D-backs. No, now you're a Coyotes fan. Oh, now all of a sudden, you got shut up. Salt Lake, you get what you get. Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll get an expansion team in 10 years or whatever the heck it is, and then we'll screw that up too.
Well, and this is where we have to understand that, I'll use the Coyotes as a perfect analogy to politics. We always wait until it's too late to care. We're like, oh, the team's leaving. Yeah. There were rumors that the team was going to leave for like 5 years, and still no one showed up. And you can blame the team and the ownership for moving from downtown Phoenix to Glendale, and it was too far to drive. But I was talking to my good friend, our hockey friend, Mike, our New York Rob, loves hockey. He's like, when I used to go to Rangers games when I lived in New York, I lived in Brooklyn. It took me 45 minutes, an hour to get into Madison Square Garden by the time I took the train, walked, etc. You got to have some level of commitment if you want your team to stay. And I think that the Coyotes now leaving is exactly what politics is. It's America's in the Coyotes position where we know we have these challenges and we have these problems and we're facing them, but we're not really facing them. We're just hoping someone else goes to the games. We're hoping that someone else solves the problem for us, because we don't actually want to take that responsibility on ourselves. And that's the real tough part, is how do we stay involved, stay a fan, even when things aren't going our way? Because what's going to happen, we're going to wake up, and Schweikert said this 2 weeks ago. There's like a 3 to 5 year window that there's probably no coming back from in an easy road. True. Because the longer you put off, the bigger these problems get. And then partisan politics doesn't matter anymore. Like if the Republicans are going to win and not solve these problems, it doesn't matter, because we still have the problems. So because we're so emotional and we're addicted to these things, and we get our dopamine hits, or we get all the outrage that we want about this, that, and the other thing, all these things that are happening in the background, like they were with the Coyotes, force them to go to Salt Lake City. America is basically the same thing. We are what the Coyotes were 3 to 5 years ago, when We could have rallied, saved the team, gone to the games despite the drive, despite the cost. Because if you're a true fan and you're so sad that the team is leaving, show up. So if you're a true fan of America, show up.
Okay. Before I move on here to one of the comments that were just made, I do like to prove a point because I did research and I'm going to prove the point before we move on. I did check on the Adrian Secretary of State Fontes. That's his logo. His logo is Adrian Secretary of State Fontes. Socialist punk that he is. Here we go. Important information regarding proof of citizenship. A person is not required to submit proof of citizenship with the voter registration form, but failure to do so means the person will only be eligible to vote in federal elections. That's from the site. So I want to make sure that I was right in that. And that's just, again, that's now you just don't even ask why. Why is the Biden administration flying people to different states?
But I
want to
that's
get to this.
been in place for a while.
I want to get to this, though. I really want to get to this. Well, yeah, it's been in place for a while. They're not going to put 10. They're going to put 1 million people into a state and hope it just works out. They're going to know this is the state where you can do that. This is the state where you can do that. And this is the state where you can do that. And quite literally flying the people from over our border into those spots.
So get them to vote Republican. Like, how do you get them to vote Republican then? Instead of just giving up and assuming they're going to vote Democrat.
I didn't say give up. No one said give up.
I'm just saying
that's I said stop asking the question as to why they're doing it.
Well,
there's no question as to why they're doing it.
Yeah, and I don't know what happens to the ballots though. If you're not a citizen, because the Stephen Richer, who is the Maricopa County recorder, reputed all this on a tweet last week. He said, no, this is what you have to do. 99+% of people who register in Arizona show proof of citizenship.
Okay, he can show me. He can show me because I can make up stats all day. He can show me 99%. Dude, show me then. Cool.
Well,
then post that. Don't just tweet it out. I don't know. I'm not challenging you. I'm not challenging you. I'm challenging his state that 99% of people. Don't tell me that. Show me that and then calm us down. Cool. That's as easy as breezy. Here you go, guys. Here's the numbers. Rock on. Love it. Click this link here for the entire. Put it in a pie chart. For the love of God, I'll love you forever. Put it in a pie chart, and then we can see it and go, oh, okay. And then when all of the rest of us get fired up about it, we can go, no, dude, here's the pie chart. Here you go. This is from him. This is from the county recorder. Here you go. It's all good. No, it's good. It's not a problem. That's what I'm saying. Don't just tweet it out. No, trust me. Nobody trusts anybody. Let's get to this because this is crazy, buddy. I want you to hear this. Scotty, Rob, I just heard on the FM station the two of you worked at that it's been 10 years since you brought the VA hospital wait time issue to the public. My question is, why the hell is that station talking about this? That was a deep ass day for Rob and I. That was a soul changing day for Rob and I. Why are they sitting there talking about it like they're taking credit for it? Anyway, you know me, and it might just be that I'm having afternoon beers. But I mean,
yeah. I'll give you let's give you the background. So, Scotty, this is interesting. So, if you can comment about what you heard, because it was August in 2014, and Mike was in. I was hosting a show with Carrie Dozer, and she was out that week. And it was a random Monday. And I had been talking to this veteran who was going to go check himself into a VA mental health center because he wasn't feeling great about himself. Yeah. And he
didn't trust himself.
Yeah, well, that's what he walked into the VA medical center that morning. And I said, look, I know you're going to check in. Once you get there, let me know how it goes. I want to make sure you're all set. So it was like the show was on at 1. I think at like 11:15, I texted him and he was like, I went in and I told them I don't trust myself. And they told me the next appointment they had was in like 3 weeks or 6 weeks.
It was over 30 days for sure.
Yeah, it was a long time away. And I was pissed. And then Mike was pissed. And we're like, okay, this is the show. We started the show and it became the whole week. You and I did a whole week on the VA. And it got to a point where the national VA called the show. I don't know how they found out about it, but they did. And the veteran ended up getting in and getting his care. And ironically, I got fired a week later.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's just a clip they mentioned. Didn't say they much past that. Yeah.
Because there was, I can't remember the doctor's name who was the big whistleblower. There was a doctor who worked at the VA who became the big whistleblower. But that was that to me is exactly what the media is supposed to be. It is a public service. I've always viewed it that way. And anyone that's not viewing it as a public service, I believe, is doing a disservice to you.
Yeah, so that's it wasn't just the VA, it was the damn head of the VA that came. I mean, just okay, we're sending we're sending a limo to the guy. Like, where is he? Like, we'll find him. We're gonna send up drones to find this guy. I mean, they weren't having. I mean, it got to the point where Rob and I basically just took the VA and just said, twisted arms. I said, Uncle, fine. Okay, good, we'll get him. And good, get him. That's the way to do it. And I just there's. It's very telling and very I don't really know what the word is at this point, but to say that they're patting themselves on the back for that at some capacity. Yeah.
Well, and anyway. Again, my criticism of media stations is exactly that, right? It's trying to cling on to you as closely as possible, just like politicians do. Like, please vote for me, please. Will you please just hang out with me? Will you please? I'll say whatever you want. I don't believe anything I'm saying, but I'll say if you believe it, and you'll come back to me, please. I'll forgive your student loans if you'll vote for me.
And Scotty, but yeah, nice. And Scotty, don't worry, dude, don't dig up the past, man. That's part of Rob and I's life. I mean, it just is. It was an amazing day, and it was an amazing time. It really was. I'm proud of it. I know Rob's proud of it. I'm proud I got to be there with Rob doing it. I mean, that's amazing time. So I mean, don't dig up the past, bro. That's who we are. It's all good. It's all good, dude.
I appreciate you remember that. And I appreciate Grizz, you remembering that too, and reaching out to me back in the day and saying, dude, because that was, I don't know, I just rolled with it. But see, I guess that it gets to my fundamental belief, Mike, about what we're able to do if we can do it together, right? And we know that there's major problems. Like that day, one veteran had a problem, a guy that served in wars that we voted for, politicians that supported. And we said, okay, go kill Al-Qaeda for us. Go get Saddam in Iraq. And we send him off. And then we have him come home. And we're like, cool. Are we done now? But that was the day we weren't done. And we're still not done. And there's still work to do. And I think that to go back to your NPR part, Mike, and I know I'm getting a little self-righteous, perhaps it is the rum also. But
yeah, hey, I'm supposed to be self-righteous. I'm going double. I didn't know which beer to pick, so I brought two.
Hey, man, it's your birthday. I'm going to drink if I want to.
But okay, hold on. Birthday. So before you jump on to that, hold on a second. Birthday. It's the same thing. Okay, so that veteran told us the story about. It wasn't his 18th birthday. I think it was his 20th birthday. Like on his 20th birthday, that's when he actually, for the first time, took the enemy's life. I woke up and told my son, "Don't you jack up my birthday." You know what I mean? How is he going to do it? You know what I mean? Like, come on. He's not going to take the trash out. This guy actually is living with, on that birthday, he actually took a human's life. So, I mean, it's the stuff we ask our men and women in uniform to do is just, I mean, those people coming back after, I'm telling you what, those people, those that are battle wounded, those that are battle tested, key to the city, key to the nation, anything, it's yours. I can't, my heart goes out to it anyway.
And I look at it, Mike, as an obligation on our part, because we made those decisions and we said, okay, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 30-year-olds in some cases, we're asking you to go fight. You volunteered. We're asking you to go do this. And then this is why we have the country we have, right? Because I don't know what the total number of men and women that have given their lives since 1789, but it's a lot. I mean, it was World War II alone, right? And that's that motivation to preserve this thing, because so many people were willing to lay down their lives continuously since 1789, despite bad political decisions. There is a path for this country to be better than it is right now. We have to get outside of our own bubbles in order to do it, because I'm no longer in that bubble, Mike. And I talk to people about politics quite a bit. And I find that there is
Okay, we kind of lost Rob there. It's okay. Rob froze in a really weird time. He's got he's doing duck face like this. There you go, buddy. You're doing duck face. It was fantastic when you froze. No, not that face. Duck face like this, like the Instagram chicks like this. Yeah, you're doing it. Kind of look at there you go. Oh,
right. There you go. Get myself out.
What is that? Blue Magnum or what was that called from Zoolander?
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. Yeah. Rob can go left. Oh my gosh. And by the way, Robin, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. I'm glad you found us, and yeah, we're here hanging out and doing our thing. This was Rob and I. Rob and I aren't going to stop. We can't divorce each other. We're brothers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Senior just walked in. I'm going to ask him. We did have an uncle that was eaten by a hippo in Africa back in the day, right? We did. True story. Yep. See, his father's brother. What was uncle? What's great uncle? What's his name? Richard. Uncle Richard.
Uncle Richard. Uncle
Eaten
Richard.
by a hippo somewhere in Africa, right? Somewhere in Africa. In the river. He was in a river swimming with hippos. By the way, right out back here where we're staying, in the Orlando area, there's a small alligator in the little pond over here.
Yeah. But yeah, don't go on that.
No.
Okay. So yeah, by the way, hippos and Cape Buffalo kill more hunters than the rest of the 8 of the Big Ten combined. The hippos will just eat you. Hippos do not care.
A big mouth span like this.
Crush you.
So there's a shout out to the I had never say this, Blue Rooster Ranch. It's a hunting ranch in near Holbrook, Arizona. What's the name of the town?
It's actually it's Woodruff. It's in
Woodruff.
Yeah.
It's this really cool ranch. So the Tom, he stocks up, right? He puts all these animals out there. One time Mike and I were there, there was a huge water buffalo, and obviously those things are deadly, and it was standing right at the fence of the property, and it was like, don't go near that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Just staring at you like you owe it money. It's going to come at you and it will get that money. You'll take it out your tuchus. It has no problem with that. Yeah, absolutely no problem. They are evil animal hippos. Yeah, but I just love how Brewmance Senior over there just Bob was like, yeah, that was Uncle Richard. Yeah. He got eaten by a damn hippo. That guy, knucklehead, classic Uncle Richard. I tell you,
out there swimming with the hippos. In Zambia or wherever he was.
Oh my gosh. Wait, Robin, I need to come up there and hunt with you. Let's go. I'm in. Where are we going?
Going to Idaho?
Idaho? Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. Knock down some whitetail. We have some fun. All about that. Oh, turkeys. The thunder chickens. Let's go.
Like an original Thanksgiving dinner, right? The turkey you hunt and you serve.
Yeah, it does not look the same. Thanks to the big conglomerates and all that, they do not look like butterballs. You do not. I mean, they look like that. They look like that when they're running around. You basically skin a turkey. It does not look like a butterball from the store. It just doesn't.
Which means it's way better.
Infinitely better. Our buddy Jason from Green Mountain Grills. He sent me a buddy of his that was in New Zealand. He's a pro chef, TV show host. That took a red stag. And he sent me a picture of one of his Green Mountain Grills, the Trek, the little tailgate one, with the stag horns in the back, and then the back strap that he smoked that moment that he got to the stag after taking it and cutting it open on a cutting board. Oh, stop it. That had to have been the best meat in history.
I don't know. The fresh heart meat that Slavo cooked for us. By the way, slavosalt.com. You want the best seasoning you've ever had in your life? Slavosalt.com. Buy it, stock up on it. It's like $9.99. It's a big, huge bottle. Oh, I put it on everything. I put it on my eggs in the morning. I put it on broccoli. I put it on all my meats. He cooked us up. He's an executive chef, right? So he cooked us up a heart of Mike's bison.
Yeah.
And it was tasty.
Oh, it's tasty. It's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I put that stuff on everything. Literally everything.
Video is available on the Brewmance YouTube page somewhere.
Oh, yeah. It's somewhere in there. Yes. And tags for everything. Robin, stop. Oh,
it's Mike's birthday.
I'm booking flight. Well, no, that's what I'm going to tell everybody. Take your gifts back. I'm buying tickets. I'm out of here. I'm gone. I come out there in prime hunt season. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Okay.
What are you doing to celebrate for your birthday, Mike Rssell?
Going to my lady's house. She's having some peeps over, and the fam bam's going to be over. I'm actually going to meet my sister's new boyfriend.
Oh. Meet? You have not met?
Meet? I haven't met him.
Oh,
dude, they've been on vacation together. I was like, I haven't even met. I'm like,
huh?
Oh yeah. Oh no, my son. Okay, so he's meeting Auntie's boyfriend. My mom is going to meet him for the first time. It's gonna.
I was invited to the party, but
of course
I'm a few states away, so we'll do some celebrating when I get back.
Naturally. And it's funny. Slavo said the same thing. Slavo was like, I have some bison shank to cook, make some ossobuco, and I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
I just had some lamb ossobuco the other day.
Really? How was it?
Fantastic.
Unreal, right?
Man, it was so like
Do
fatty.
not,
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
do not sleep on ossobuco. By the way, Robbie is my little brother from another, and Rob used to cut the fat off of his meat. And I remember a day I just said, "Look, dude, here's what I need you to do, my man. I'm not gonna punk you. I asked him what he was doing. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, the fat, that's bad. I'm like, I'm about to come on, I'm glued. And I said, just take a nice cross section right there, enough meat, little fat, and just go ahead. I said, just pop it in there, buddy, and just let it dance. Just let it play. Let it play around there. Let it play around there. That was a game changer. I watched the light bulb come up. Pop.
I did it last night, actually. And I thought at that moment, I'm like, let it dance, Robbie. Let it dance. And then it just dances. And you're like, man, this is like MC Hammer dancing in my mouth, man. It's awesome. It's just like,
yeah, I can't. How was that? There you go. Nice. All right. Hammer time. That's why I can't, like, I look at my son who's 16 and I watch him eat, and it's like a speed competition. It's like watching Kobayashi eat. And I'm like, bro, do you want to taste it? Like, just enjoy it a bit, man. Just let it kind of play around in there. Just kind of, you know, sit down, relax. Yeah. Shoveling it in. Yeah. Just not.
You should see, going back to Brewmance Senior, my dad, fastest eater ever. He doesn't talk when he eats. Always been that way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
Bravo.
It wasn't
enjoy it, kid.
Exactly.
Well, I know, but enjoy it. Okay, there's a certain amount of time where you're like, okay, and I was also 16 once and ate like my son, but then I came around eating like the military is that okay? That excuse, Baba, was gone. It's gone and gone and gone. That's gone. Sorry. Oh, I was in the military, so I eat this fast. No, settle down and enjoy it then.
Mm-hmm.
You're a grown ass man, brother. Come on, make it happen. All right, what do we got here, VJ? What do you got? Keep taking over the VA effing up. Yes, yeah. I'm talking about. Yeah, there's so much that need to happen. So much needs to happen with the VA. I think hold on. This is the content I want to cover in the radio platform. Like, yeah, here's the deal. You want to fix the VA real quick, super quick, and ginormous quick. Take them out of the drug dealing business. There you go. Fix. There's your fix. They're the biggest pill pushing. It's the biggest pill pushing program. So yeah, biggest pill pushing program there is. Period. It's disturbing. You look at all so many of these homeless veterans got hooked on pills because they were given those pills by our VA. They're supposed to be taking them, supposed to be wrapping their arms around these guys. Here's your pills. I've had, back in the days of my property management, I had tenants that were, because we're near Luke Air Force Base, I had tenants that were just dialed in when they got in there. I mean, just absolutely 100% dialed in, like, oh my gosh, their credit's good, money's good, everything's right, job's good, they work out of the base. Boom, 6 months later, they're taking hatchets to all the appliances because they got hooked on drugs. There's that's that. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
And I think that it kind of sums up kind of where I'm at, Mike, is that we have some major challenges that we face, and it's almost too many to name, but I'm not ready to give up, because I think in that story, the fact that people still volunteer to serve for this country and potentially put their lives on the line is exactly why it's worth doing better. Exactly why it's worth examining everything top to bottom and saying, is this good for America or is it not? Because I almost look at it now that everybody is in it for themselves. And we've criticized Matt Gaetz, the Republican from Florida, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because they're not in it for your best interest. They're in it for their own best interest, to advance their own names, careers, etc. And the easiest way to do it is not pay attention to it, because it's all it is a distraction so that they can raise money. And the Democrats do the same thing. I don't mean to just single out Republicans, but I'm closer to that side than I am the Democrat side. And I want our side to be better. I want our side to really tap into our patriotism and say, okay, Mike has kids. I don't have any kids. Maybe one day Mike's kids will have kids. What does America look like for them if we don't act and we don't take care of these problems at the VA, where, yeah, you're a veteran and you served, but if you go to war, you come back, we'll just give you a couple of pills and we'll say, you're good, right? And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, that veteran might be living on the street because they're so addicted to that thing the VA gave them.
So here's the deal. This is a good segue. It's a good segue into Big Pharma. So if you understand Occupy Democrats was supposed to be the counterweight to the MAGA movement, the counterweight to back in the Tea Party days, all of that. Occupy Democrats was a progressive, kind of like a more mainstream Young Turks. So super hyper liberal, super hyper progressive. This is hilarious to me because Brian Shapiro had a doctor on that he wanted at least the doctor to say, hey, it doesn't matter what we're finding out about vaccines right now. It doesn't matter what we're finding out about COVID right now. If you had the vaccine, you still couldn't get it though, right? I mean, you still wouldn't end up in ICU. Listen, I want you to listen to this. This is legit happening right now. Here we go.
COVID, if you're vaccinated, it didn't give you a lesser chance of getting infected or giving it to somebody else. However,
oh, by the way, we were told it did. It gave you zero chance of giving it to somebody else. It gave you zero chance of getting it, and we were told to give you zero. Here we go.
You are in so many studies that I've seen, and you can tell me if you disagree.
Seen.
Far less likely to get the effects of having to go into the ICU or possibly dying if you were vaccinated. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong. And here's the reason why. The prospective randomized double-blind placebo-control clinical trials of the vaccines never showed a reduction in severity.
Not once.
They never showed a reduction in hospitalization
nope.
and death. And what's come out over time is the virus has mutated to become a much milder virus.
So Brian Shapiro, if you see him, and Rob and I know this because we have people talking in our ears. We understand that. We're good at it. We can have people talking in our ears while we're talking. Rob's a lot better at it than I am, but you have people, he basically went off and did one of those things like, get this guy off right now. Like, no. He's not supporting what we said. But I mean, before we go back to it, Rob, that's important right there. No, actually you're wrong. You were completely 100% lied to. And Shapiro's just deer in headlights. Like, how do I end what I'm supposed to do? Because I just went on this rant about how, but if we got it, we were less likely to end up on a ventilator, which we found out that ventilators were the biggest death sentence of all.
Well, and again, there's a certain risk category. People got COVID that ended up in the ICU, and most of us aren't in that risk category. So we weren't ever at risk of going in the ICU. And oftentimes, again, going back to medicine, doctors err on the side of caution because ICU is buku bucks for hospitals.
Oh, yeah. So been there twice. Yeah.
We're just going to keep you here for observation, just in case. So again, where this is affirmation, right? If you went way down, the government is saving the day on COVID, and you still believe it, you're going to listen to a guy like Shapiro because he's going to affirm your belief.
Yeah.
And you were probably, if he has fans that agree with what he said, Shapiro, and he saw that doctor, they're going to be like, what? No, I can't unbelieve my beliefs. I can't unlearn what I've learned, to quote Yoda. But that's, I think, the biggest advantage I've had as a person, Mike, is to unlearn things that I've learned, whether it's personal life, whether something government told me. I just try to approach it as if I know nothing. And I just find that it just makes things better for me because I can make my own decisions. And I think that that's that big part that we flirted with during the pandemic is how many millions of people didn't want to make their own decisions.
Rob, you're from Massachusetts. You act like you know everything. Don't give me that nonsense. All right, here we go. All right, here we go.
Vaccines were rolling out. We were being confronted with a less mild virus. The other thing, a less severe virus, more mild. The other thing that happened is we learned how to treat the illness. So we treated patients early, and we avoided hospitalization and death. So the two major things that saved people's lives were having natural immunity from the first round of infection and then early treatment. What happened with the vaccines, remember, the vaccines came in late, so we're already a year in the pandemic. We've been treating people for a year. The vaccines come in late. And in a recent paper by Norman Fenton from the UK, he's shown that there was tremendous misclassification bias. So when they declared that there was a epidemic of the unvaccinated, in fact, the hospitals weren't, they had no idea who was vaccinated or not. They didn't have connection to the CDC vaccine records. They weren't going in the ICU and figuring out people on the ventilator who were vaccinated and who weren't. In countries that actually did have the vaccine status, like the UK, they found far more vaccinated in the hospital on ventilators and dying than the unvaccinated.
Look at his face.
Yeah, he's like, this is painful to watch. This is painful. I can't hear what you're saying, Doc, because it hurts. Everything that I say, everything that they've known, and then, this is an exposing of what they've known. This I'm talking about Brian Shapiro. Brian Shapiro knew this. Brian Shapiro knew he was lying. The Biden administration knew they were lying. The pandemic of the unvaccinated is absolute garbage. They knew they were lying. This, having a doctor say, no, there's actually studies in countries that don't play politics with death. The countries that don't really, they care about actual public health and they want things to be better. They did studies on this and found that that United States is playing politics with people's lives and money and making billionaires in the meantime.
And this is where I wish politicians were bolder. So RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., has a running mate named Nicole Shanahan. She was married to a big shot at Google, big executive. She actually came out, I think just recently, a couple days ago, and said the COVID vaccine should be banned because it doesn't help. There is no purpose for taking it, especially now. That is what I want out of a politician, but she's not a politician. And that, to me, is at least getting me to look at that ticket and go, wow, at least they're cutting through the noise and the partisan crap, and they're actually saying things that I can relate to. And that's what I loved, is just hearing her say that. I'm like, I've never heard anybody say that, because I'm like, dude, take it if you want, your choice, but understand what it is. And she's just flat out saying, let's just get rid of it. But there's too much money, to Mike's point, that goes into that.
And speaking of money, the Kennedy family still on the take from the Democrat Party as the siblings of RFK Jr. came out and endorsed Joe Biden publicly, as if anyone cared what a Kennedy thinks outside of RFK Jr. at this point, and understands that they're the most corrupt family side of the Bidens, and they just that's their bag
and selling things to Nazis.
And my first thing was like, I was like, is this character assassination? Too soon? It's not too soon.
No, it's not.
It's not too soon. It's been decades. We're good. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. That's why I said it's over half a century. We're fine. We totally okay.
50 years. It's
totally okay. I was like, his family is oh shoot. I can't say that. Dang it. That tweet didn't go out on the Brewmance site, by the way, so it's okay. It didn't go out. It was going to. It was ready to go. It was locked and loaded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, you can find us on formerly Twitter, now X, because we know that Facebook and Instagram, which are owned by the same company, they suppress content that talks about the things that we talk about, but Elon Musk and X do not. So if you are, and you want to share that on X, if you're on X, thank you very much.
Scotty went over drinking. It's my BD Bears. I didn't know what to decide between, because they're my two favorites. One's actually my favorite. One's actually Rob's favorite. This wasn't because it's us. This was the Dragoon IPA and the Tower Station. So I didn't know which one to get.
So. Both on microphone and off,
please,
and many more to come.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because I owe you 2 4-packs.
Why is that?
Glenn Youngkin and Glenn Youngkin and Condi Rice didn't make it happen. That wasn't Condi Rice.
It's not done yet.
Glenn Youngkin is not going to be there.
I know that, but there's a slight chance after the conventions. That's when we'll pay it up. So I think we'll wait it out till August.
Okay, we'll figure it out, because I still got the Newsom. I guess the Newsom Susan Rice. I got that in my back pocket.
And with
Bozo doing what Bozo's doing, and just sitting there, just like he's talking about my uncle got eaten by cannibals.
If the polls consistently continue to show Biden losing, it's still an option. I just read this profile piece about Newsom in the Atlantic. It talked about what a kind of a scumbag he is, but it also
scumbag.
Yeah, it didn't say it in those words, but it talks about enough of his background, and he's getting antsy. He's like, not running for president now, but he's getting antsy. What's the main thing? I'm like, of course he is, because this is his best opportunity.
Lynn, if you like IPAs, here you go, bud. Right here. There you go. That's a good one. Athletic Brewing has a solid lineup. I think they're 4. They got a Pilsner, a hazy IPA, they got a regular IPA, and they've got a Cerveza, which is fantastic.
Quality. They're well made.
Every one of them.
So the NA beer on that level, Athletic, because if you had an NA like Budweiser or O'Doul's, it's like, That tastes like a real beer.
Yeah. So buddy of mine that's going in surgery on Monday, he can't drink right now, but unfortunately he is next door neighbors to and best friends with the Huss family. And so he said, I went out with them and I couldn't drink. So he goes, I had they had 3 athletics. He goes, I didn't know I wasn't drinking a solid IPA until after my 3rd, I could still speak straight.
We have reviewed the Brewmance, on the Brewmance,
Telling you,
athletic
so
IPA.
good.
You can go check that out.
Absolutely.
Think about it.
Crown Blackberry. We ain't trying about Crown right now, buddy. Rob, you're wrong. You're wrong. I tell you, you're wrong.
That's why I only had 1 rum. More to come later, post show.
Yeah, oh, jeez, I know. And sometimes I mix a couple of the IPAs. I know it sounds sacrilegious, but sometimes it just keeps me going, and I don't have to drink a whole Tower Station and or a whole Dragoon. I'm learning.
It's all good, man.
I'm learning. All right. Do you want to cover any more? Do you want to cover any more of this doctor or no?
Yeah, let's keep going. Why not?
Okay, all right, here we go. All right, let's get it.
Then we'll let everybody get out of here.
Here we go.
You.
And in a paper by Shrestha and colleagues from the Cleveland Clinic, the lowest risk workers that they have in 51,000 workers are the unvaccinated. And with every single injection, one is more and more likely to get COVID-19. Now, the deaths that have been reported after the vaccine are unprecedented. Our safety system for vaccines records on average, half the country takes vaccines in the United States before COVID, records on average 150 deaths in a year on average. The COVID-19 vaccines roll out. And as we sit here today, our CDC has verified 18,655 Americans dying after the vaccine. 1,150 die on the same day they take the shot. Some die in the vaccine center. 1,200 die the next day. Now, that's underreported by a factor in FDA testimony of about 30. We're looking, as we sit here today, at 550,000 plus Americans have died after the vaccine.
Damn.
There's your information. Do with it what you like.
Dang.
It's funny how we don't like numbers until we don't like numbers. I like stats until the stats I don't like show up.
Yeah. And then it's like, no. Okay, here's the deal. This is the funny part about this, because those that are that pray at the temple of the vaccine will say that no, those people probably had other things influencing their death or causing their death. You're like every COVID death?
Just like people fell off the roof and were still considered.
Yeah. Gunshot to the head. Yeah, same.
Yep.
Homicide. If they had COVID within 6 months, that was considered. And by the way, you can go on the CDC. That document is available for download. You just got to go all the way to the bottom, and the last, I think, 45 pages are the people that they said died of COVID but fell off a building. That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Here's to freedom. Here's to making your own choices. Here's to not trusting anything.
But something. But here's to a president that had an uncle, God rest his soul, that got eaten by cannibals.
Yeah, and my real life story of my great uncle getting eaten by a hippo.
I call shenanigans still. I think Bobo's had a couple of rum and cokes. I don't know.
He will later for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right, buddy. All right. Let's get the heck out of here, y'all. Thank you so much.
Sorry,
thank you, buddy.
To celebrate with you in person, but you know what? We'll extend your birthday celebration.
That's the way to do it
for the next month or so.
Well, we've done 16 or 17 of them, so it's all good. All good, my brother. Have fun. Give a hug to the whole fam for me, and y'all, please. We'll do this again Monday at 4. So I don't know. Again, we just kind of throw a dart at the map and find out where Rob will be. But it is. So all of you, thank you so much for playing along with us. We really greatly appreciate you hanging out with us, commenting, sharing it out, and helping us build this together. So thank you all. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and we'll see you Monday at 4. Have a great one, everyone.